these are problems that I haven't seen anyone out there solving.
I believe we're actually in the next transformation wave.
Here we prioritize this deep customer first.
Obsess over this experience for customers, which is how do you build like a really, really high quality service? The team knows you, they have context on you, they understand you.
Hey everyone, I'm Dimitri from Grain Labs, the CEO and one of the 3 co-founders. With me today, Rohan and Jergan from Wise, one of our best partners in the AI space. Thank you, Rohan and Jergan, for coming over. I know we have been working for quite a while together, and we finally made it to make it a bit of an interview. Maybe before we start though, let's start with a brief round of introductions. Maybe you can say a few words about yourself.
Very good to be here. It was a very long commute, about 2 minutes took us, 2-minute walk. And I'm obviously rocking the hat as well. And so I'm totally on brand today. So I'm Rohan. I'm the global head of operations at Wise. Been at Wise 5 years, and I look after a number of different teams, everything from customer support to financial crime to payments to third-party risk procurement vendors. And yeah, it's very, very good to be here.
Hi, I'm Jergan. I'm the product lead for customer support at Wise. And my team's mission is basically also together with Rohan's teams is to scale the best quality support that we can offer for all of our Wise customers globally.
Amazing, thank you guys. So maybe before we really dive into the details, maybe we can start at a higher level. Rohan, maybe you can talk a little bit. I know that you have been working for banks or for consultancies inside banks and kind of on a lot of the fin crime issues in your past. And kind of working with regulators and really understanding what really matters. So how does it transfer to your job now? And what did you take from that?
I spent probably the last 15 years at most of the very, very big banks around the world, either working directly for them or helping them build their infrastructure and their teams around mainly things like financial crime, but a lot of their kind of back office operations as well. I think there was a pretty consistent theme that I saw throughout, which I take every single day when I apply to Wise, which is there's so much complexity in different parts of the process, whether it's the checks we need to do for customers or the way we run due diligence or the various different types of friction. And then when you start going global and you start dealing with different regulators around the world, this becomes even more complex. And I think people really underestimate the complexity involved in running these processes, running these various different back office areas. And then the hardest part is then having a frontline support team trying to help these customers or navigate this complexity. So I think this was a theme that I saw pretty much in every single company I worked for. And you had this constant tension between how do you scale it from a cost perspective, because it's very expensive to run the OpEx. How do you build the best possible experience for the minimum amount of friction? And then how do you make sure that you're keeping regulators happy and at bay and mitigating the risks? So it's like constant tension. I think what's been really cool at Wise is that we really, really try and care deeply, deeply about the customer experience. The customers is kind of at the heart of everything that we do. And so everything that we build and orient around is around how we make sure that we're giving customers the best possible experience end to end. And then that translates to things like we don't want them to pay a lot for the product. So we do need to be conscious of cost, but not for the end goal. It's actually to help customers with using our product and building the best possible product. It's obviously making sure that they recommend it to their friends. So much of our growth is driven by word of mouth. And then we are regulated and hold licenses all around the world. And so that becomes even more important. So I think these things are kind of at the heart of what we do. And I'm sure we'll talk about it, but how we scale that experience has been kind of really, really the essence of what I try and work on and build.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing it much more interestingly than many other companies.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. I think that's what struck me from the beginning of working with Wise. Even though a lot of the conversation in the AI space is all about cost cutting, I know that for you guys, it was actually never about cost. Cost as well is important, but the primary driver was for you, how do we create the best possible customer experience that we possibly can envision? And that's what was ultimately exciting for us to work with you as well, because ultimately what we are there for is to help companies to do the same, to actually achieve much better customer experiences.
Yeah. I mean, like it isn't just like something we many companies say this, but we kind of live and breathe it. So I mentioned earlier, a huge amount of our customers come from word of mouth growth. Our product is very organic in how it grows. So you won't see huge amounts of marketing on Wise. Like, of course we do, and we acquire customers through paid channels as well. But fundamentally, we believe that if you build a 10x better experience and a 10x better product, that, you know, customers will come and recommend it to their friends. And so this has been kind of the ethos of how we've built Wise. And that extends then to the support experience, but also just the general operations experience. So we want customers to be able to always be able to contact us, always be able to work through issues, and get themselves unblocked. And so whether we deploy AI or whether we deploy any sort of tool or automation, we always think about that first and foremost, and with guardrail around that. I think that's kind of what you've been really focusing on.
Like, there's always this tension between costs and quality, and this is also why I joined Wise personally, because here we prioritize this, like Rohan said, deep customer first, which is a very interesting problem to solve. One you can do with AI systems, and one you can do with humans, or both.
Yeah. You know what? The exciting part about this, in the past, it was always cost or quality. And now I tend to say you can actually have your cake and eat it. You can actually have lower cost, higher quality, and higher regulatory compliance at the same time, which was never possible before. It was always somehow a trade-off. And now in the new age, you kind of can make everything better, which is quite exciting.
I'll add one more to that, which is speed as well. So we've always thought about this, right? We've kind of like obsessed over this experience for customers, which is how do you build like a really high quality service, almost like you're getting an account management style service, where the team knows you, they have context on you, they understand you. How do you get it so you're never waiting? You're just never, the endless like elevator queue music that you hear. It's like, how do you do that in a way that you get like instant access? And then also the hardest part, and how do you do it in a scalable way? So you're not just adding costs that you have to pass back on to customers. And you're totally right. Like this kind of, this is the game changer these days, where you can have your cake and eat it too, and then do more. And then I'm sure we'll get to it, but like thinking then about what is the kind of human experience then that you want to think about. So that's been the ethos. And I think even when you started, like before we even started talking about AI, you were trying to build that experience as well.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, how we look at our North Star is we ask our customers that we solve your outcome, even if they go through the friction path, and we try and get to their outcome as much as we can, as fast as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, let's take it a step further. So maybe Jergan, a question to you. Wise has obviously an amazing, very strong technical team in-house, and you guys have a very strong reputation for building most of the things in-house as well. Very similar to Monzo, where I've worked in before, so it was like, it really resonates with me. How, in this particular partnership, how did you go about even considering partnering with some external partners, and what really matters for you in that kind of evaluation and picking that provider?
Yeah. When I joined Wise a year and a half, I think the single biggest investment for us was to how can we centralize access to our APIs and our content to give any agent knowledge. And then the search was, which vendor do we partner with to learn how that can be leveraged to get to these great outcomes that we were just discussing. We did a whole range of vendor trials, offline analysis, very rigorous. And Gradient was good because obviously the technology works. You guys have a very great technical founding team. You're also around the corner. You're London-based, but also what you gave to us was also a deep partnership in helping us shape this experience together. Not only from an engineering point of view, but also from a content point of view and the conversational design, and then ultimately also the customer outcome. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, maybe we can dig a little bit deeper into that. Like, would you mind describing a little bit more, like, how did the partnership involve? How do you actually structure that internally? What are the teams that are working on it? I know you have even introduced kind of a new role for conversational designers,
exactly.
which is pretty cool. So would you mind talking a little bit about more how it actually works?
Yeah, even if I've been in AI for the last 10 years, it's changing so rapidly that it even has an impact on how you structure our teams. And you always have a mix of engineering functions working together, data science, but now we're also introducing functions like content design who are really helping us create what is the quality of the conversation together with you guys. And they're orchestrating what is the best way to get clarification from customers and get them to their outcomes fast without being annoying, and making sure that we get to their outcomes fast. But then there's also this constant feedback loop of our AI QA specialists are basically providing a human evaluation of whether we're doing right or wrong and how we can improve. And overarching, because as you can imagine, as a financial institution, and like Rohan said, we have to make sure that this is secure, compliant, and that we're doing this in the best way possible for our customers and their privacy and their data. We're also working with program managers to make sure that we can roll this out safely and make sure that this is reliable and consistent across many jurisdictions.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning when we started working, there was literally like a small squad working with us, product squad, but by now there must be, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 different teams. It kind of spread very wide and quickly.
Correct, yeah. The investment started in one team and is now basically the entire squad. The squad for us, we define that as multiple product teams. So there's now 4 product teams working on this. And what's cool is that obviously as many companies go on this journey of assistance, conversational AI, more product teams outside of our support journey, our support squad, are starting to partner with us as well. And even within servicing where Rohan and me sit, to how can we conversationally optimize the journey for a customer within many back office functions, but also can we potentially also not only save cost, but also drive revenue.
Yeah, so this has been my ethos from day one as well, which is we started thinking about classic support, and probably many other companies do. They kind of think about, all right, you have a contact center, your contact center has X number of people, what's a way to make how to get your FAQs and your normal ability to chat with customers or deal with them via email or whatever channel you choose. But I think and this is what every company kind of starts with, and the use case is very clear. But then you kind of think through what are the various interactions that your customers have with all parts of your service ecosystem or your product ecosystem. So in financial services, I mentioned earlier, like onboarding or due diligence of customers, suspensions because of checks that are being done, payments getting stuck. These are things that sit, like the end-to-end process sits far beyond just your kind of classic contact center. So to Jergan's point, I think now what we're starting to see and what's really cool is there's just so many different use cases that we can think through, and so many different ways you can kind of like build a conversational assistant that helps customers in whatever part, even before they even contact us, for instance. Absolutely. And I think that's the evolution now that obviously we've been talking about, and Jergan and team are shipping, and that's what it's kind of outcomes that are really important, and we're already seeing the benefits for customers.
I think an interesting insight there is that actually from what we see working across many different customers, Wise is probably furthest along on their journey. And a key element to this is that you guys very early realized that really most of the work that you need to do to really run a successful AI automation program is kind of get the data inside Wise ready and available. And that is just a lot of work, right? So actually codifying procedures, enabling, kind of exposing data points, that is like, even if you do that you can already have, like, and do for a year. But also on top of that, if you're planning to build the whole system of how to actually use this data, how to run it through AI, I think that's where we have seen companies slowing down the most. And most of the companies who actually build in-house typically stopped at like simple RAG application, or maybe like simple, small very brief processes.
Yep.
And from what we are seeing, you are actually one of the furthest along companies that we have seen so far. So really kudos to you guys.
Amazing to hear. I would say that's probably because of one important thing is that we are all united within our operations servicing tribe to just put the customer first. So I think we're all inherently working towards that, and multiple functions are thinking through that. It is still, I mean, it makes me happy to hear you say that we're quite advanced, because like I've worked on many of these AI experiences in different industries, but Wise is by far the most complex ecosystem of problems that you would get across multiple jurisdictions and geos and languages and products, because like Wise as a product there's so many products in Wise, and to solve for that in the most scalable way, like you said, access to data gives the best context to any agent, even a human agent.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I've definitely seen that many times over, how complex Wise actually is. Like, it's a complex organization.
It is, but I think it's kind of slightly by design, in the sense of we're solving a problem that no one else has, which is inherently international money movement is totally broken, right? And it's broken because like you have to have this very siloed, jurisdictional based banking that has existed historically, and then this kind of really complex correspondent network of systems on how to move money, and we're kind of solving it from first principles, trying to build something that's 10x better. And so it's inherently very complex, but I think that's the fun. That's the fun of building something.
Okay, maybe a few last questions. Jergan, what is the result that you're most excited about that we have achieved together?
Good question. What am I most excited about? I mean, obviously the fact that we can genuinely offer our customers a faster and better experience, and that we're continuing to drive towards that, even as we're still, I think, very early in this journey of what we're just describing in the big picture. That's what I'm most excited about.
Amazing. And what's next, Rohan?
I think what's really cool about you guys is, first, you're kind of built for financial services. So you come from a financial services background. Most of the team does as well. And you get it. You kind of get the complexity from a regulatory perspective, and all the guardrails that you've been building with the team is kind of inherently, you deeply understand the complexity, the regulation, and what comes with that. And so I think like you kind of started from a really good point on, and you're also a very technical team, which is obviously very good as well. So you kind of balance those two things, and I think that's why the partnership has been really successful. And I think now what I'm excited about is exactly what I mentioned earlier, which is these use cases beyond just support now. I think this is where it gets really hard and really fun. And these are problems that I haven't seen anyone out there solving. If you think through, experiences that customers go through in onboarding or due diligence or various checks in any organization, it's very complicated, full of friction, and really hard. And I think if we can figure out how to do this jointly, we're going to make our customers' lives easier, which is really all what we care about.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe we're actually in the next transformation wave. If you see branch banking, and then came mobile banking, where you kind of really reinvented the customer experience and how they use the product, but really a second half of the problem, which essentially requires gigantic organizations to actually run the accounts behind the scenes in every single financial services organization. That was never solved through mobile banking for obvious reasons, right? And I think now we have essentially a chance to fundamentally reinvent how the second part of the problem is.
It's because of these trade-offs that you mentioned earlier, right? Like you kind of always had to give up one of these things. Either you had to make it very expensive, or you had to make it poor quality, or you had to make it very slow. And it's kind of fingers crossed that this kind of opportunity to do all of it.
The future is bright. Well, I'm super excited to do it together with you guys. Thanks a lot for coming over.
Thank you.
Your 2 minutes journey. And thank you for being amazing partners.
Right.
No worries. Thanks for having us.